Welcome. In this explainer, we are pulling back the curtain to show you how sophisticated investors really size up an organization's AI. Forget the marketing hype for a second. We're going to look at what truly drives valuation in their eyes. All right, before we dive in, let's get our standard disclaimer out of the way. This is part 2 of a 10-part series, and it's all based on a really detailed research report from Virtualization Options LLC. Now, obviously, what we talk about here is just for your information. It's not legal, financial, or investment advice. So let's start with the big question, the one every leader should be asking themselves right now. While your marketing team is out there crafting this perfect story about being AI first, the people with the money, investors, VCs, potential partners, they're using a totally different playbook to figure out what's real. And that's because the game has completely changed. We're talking about a whole new era of due diligence. Sophisticated investors are now doing these almost forensic-level investigations that go way, way beyond your slick pitched it. So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, the old days of just relying on a polished demo or some executive interviews, they're over. Today, investors are digging right into your code repositories. They're analyzing what your employees are saying on sites like Glassdoor, and they are absolutely conducting deep audits on your governance processes to see if they're legit or just for show. And this isn't just some academic exercise. This has a very real price tag attached to it. The research shows that investors are now adding valuation premiums, think 15 to 25%, for companies with solid, verifiable AI governance. And you guessed it, they're hitting others with similar, pretty painful discounts when they find gaps. So what does this new investor playbook actually look like? Well, it's not random guesswork. It's a structured approach, really, built around a pretty comprehensive evaluation matrix that's designed to get to the truth. This table really breaks down that investor mindset perfectly. This is the AI due diligence matrix they're using, and I want you to look closely at that risk weight column. See how data governance and regulatory compliance are marked as critical? That tells you everything. It's not just about having cool tech anymore. It's about having mature, risk-managed operations. And this quote right here, it shows you a key tactic they use to verify everything. They do not just take the C-suite's word for it. No way. They go straight to the source, your data scientists, your machine learning engineers, and they ask them the tough questions to see if the story from leadership actually matches the reality on the ground. Now, with this kind of deep dive scrutiny, certain patterns start to pop up. So let's look at the specific red flags that can immediately ring alarm bells and put a potential investment or partnership in serious jeopardy. These are the real deal killers. Governance theater, I love that term, is a huge one. Having an AI ethics committee that's never actually rejected a project, that's a massive red flag. Another is negative chatter on employee review sites. If your own team is anonymously complaining about ignored risks, you can bet investors are going to find it and price it into their offer. And all these factors, they're not just about passing or feeling some review. They have a direct, quantifiable, and honestly, often staggering impact on your organization's actual value. So here is the crucial takeaway. This whole conversation has officially moved from the compliance office to the boardroom. Good AI governance isn't a defensive risk avoidance thing anymore. It has fundamentally shifted to being a core driver of your financial valuation. It's a competitive advantage. And the numbers here, they're just stark. According to the research, organizations with what you'd call immature AI governance can get hit with valuation discounts of up to 35%. But on the flip side, those with optimized, verifiable practices, they can command premiums of 30% or more. That's a 65-point swing in enterprise value, all based on how mature your governance is. So to avoid that massive discount and hopefully earn that premium, your leadership team has to be ready to answer some very tough, very specific questions. And these are not high-level strategy questions. They are deep in the operational weeds. First up, your tech. Investors want to know about the real world. They don't care how a model performed in a sterile lab environment. They want to know what happens when it's live. Do you have automated systems that flag you when its performance starts to degrade, or when the data coming in suddenly looks nothing like the data it was trained on? Next, they'll hit you on data governance. Can you actually trace your data from the source all the way through to the model's final output? That's data lineage. And maybe even more important, what steps did you actually take to make sure the data you trained your model on was fair and representative, so you're not just baking historical biases into your brand new automated systems? And when it comes to risk, they want to see that you've been proactive. It is not enough to just say, oh, we'll fix it when it breaks. Have you actually war-gamed potential failures? What is the literal step-by-step plan when a model spits out a harmful or biased result? Who gets that phone call at 2 a.m.?
And finally, they're going to poke at your organizational maturity. They need to know who is ultimately accountable. Where does the buck stop? Is it a chief AI officer, a committee, the CEO? And they are going to probe that classic tension. How do you prove you're not just sacrificing responsible practices for the pressure to innovate and ship new products faster?
So the bottom line is this. The AI stress test isn't some far-off future possibility. For any serious investment, any major partnership, it is the new reality. Your marketing might get you in the door, but it's your operational substance that's going to close the deal. The only real question left is your organization truly ready for it?